It's time for
DodgerHeads.
Hi, everyone, and welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Matthew Moreno, and joining me today for this post-game show, Blake Williams, and we get to recap a big sports weekend, Blake. If you block out Friday, Dodgers get us, even if you factor it in, Dodgers get a series win. The biggest news, though, probably is USC proving all the naysayers wrong that they can't go into an Eastern time zone and get a big win on the road. And speaking of road, your New England Patriots, I know, went down to Miami and hung on. I didn't see the game, but I saw tweets that there was some craziness going on.
Yeah,
and,
that game was wild.
And now here we are, filling in for Jeff and Anthony.
Yeah, for sure. It's been a fun weekend. It kind of started out a little bit slow with the Dodgers there, but things kind of turned around for everyone. So I think Jeff's Raiders play here soon, and we got Daniel's Rams beat Scott's Titans. So right. If anyone wants to go troll Scott a little bit for me on Twitter, it'd be great. But yeah, it's been a fun week.
Yeah. You say that things got off slowly for the Dodgers. That ending, though, certainly didn't feel that way with, how they were walked off again. Tanner Scott struggling once again, although, I think it's worth noting, and I'm sure we'll get into it as the show goes on. It wasn't all that bad of a pitch, right? It was a fastball out of the zone, but it's just kind of how things are going for him this season.
I'd say it was kind of bad there because in that situation, the hitter's looking to elevate something in the air. So he's probably looking for a fastball up. So even if it was up and out of the zone, probably the one pitch you want to avoid from, but we can put a little blame on the catcher there too.
Yeah, good points. I want to thank everybody who's joining us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. As a reminder, if you're new on YouTube, please be sure to hit the like button on this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell, all that good stuff. That'll make sure that you're getting alerted to join whenever we do these live shows and schedule them, or if we put up other content throughout the week, where Scott is doing his Dodgerhead Unplugged show every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific. We also put up interviews with players throughout the season as well. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of that. And also, you can find all our written content at DodgerBlue.com. And we have a mobile app. I know we've mentioned it a couple times. The link to it is in the description of this video or podcast if you're listening via podcast. So be sure to download that. It's kind of the easiest way to make sure you stay up to date with all the different content we publish. And I mentioned podcasts. If you prefer audio-based, then you can subscribe there. Rate, review, all that good stuff as well. We appreciate it. And maybe come check out the video side if you have time. Blake, let's get into this one. We alluded to it, walk-off loss Friday night, kind of, and remarkably, it was the fifth walk-off loss the Dodgers have had in their last 15 road games up to that point, which is a crazy stat. But then they bounced back, big performance Saturday, and then the offense again, putting it together today. 2 or 3 from the Giants, a team that, I know a lot of our regular viewers with us were concerned about heading into this series because it marked the start of playing them 7 times before the season ended. The Giants were one of the hottest teams in baseball. You see here on the banner as well, if you're watching, the Dodgers are also 6-1 now in their last 7 games. And so we'll kind of expand on that a little bit as we get into some of the overall discussions about the offense, but just sort of, immediate takeaways from kind of this series and as a whole, rather, and then we'll kind of break down each game.
My biggest thing is how they bounced back from that first game, and even after that first inning in the second game. They lost on a walk-off grand slam in the first one, and then in that second game, they go down 4-1 in the first inning. Kershaw was struggling, couldn't really get anyone out, and it was kind of like here we go again. This team isn't good. They just beat up on the Rockies like anyone can do that, and now they're showing who they really are. And it just felt like that game was over in the first inning. They didn't show much life in the second, third, fourth kind of thing. And then they really broke out, and the offense ended up scoring 13 runs in the game. That was huge for them. Like, they could have just kind of went over and fell off and didn't do anything after falling behind 4-1, but they really came back and battled, and I think that was important for them to show that they're going to do that. And then today they come back out and score another 10 runs, so 23 runs in the last 2 games for an offense that we've been talking about for quite a while. Like, we know they have the talent, but they just haven't put anything together. So I think just moving forward and not letting that first inning beat them or the walk-off beat them, like, that was huge for them.
Yeah, and you mentioned the offense bouncing back, and I agree with you, especially with, after the way Friday's game ended, to then come back. They take the 1-0 lead in the first inning, then Kershaw gives it right back. He's struggling. So then to fall into that deficit and battle back. I know we've discussed the offense countless times throughout the season and looked at, different aspects of it. I will say, have you gotten the impression, because I don't know that I don't know if this Dodgers team, and maybe I'm sure as I say this, people are going to probably disagree. I don't know if they have, like, quote unquote, like, given up type thing. I think that they just haven't played well and have had poor at bats, and maybe at times there's been a lack of focus. I know, Dave Roberts has sort of alluded to not having enough team at bats through up and down the lineup. So I think it's been more that rather than like this team is folding and they're not necessarily mentally tough per se.
I agree, but after the stretch they've been on for like 2 months, and then they kind of hit rock bottom, blowing the no-hitters, especially with the Yamamoto's first one, and then Tanner Scott blew like 3 games, and like that takes a mental toll on a team. Even if you are like a mentally tough team, it's gonna be eating at you. Like, even if you are confident, there's gonna be in the back of your mind like a little bit of a, here we go again. Is this happening? Is this another one of those games kind of thing? So for them to be resilient, and maybe we can say they weren't pressing. I think that might be a better way of describing it. They weren't going out and trying to come back because they felt like it was do or die type thing and they had to go do it, but they came out and took good at bats and kept battling and put up 13 runs in that game, even with the pitching allowing 7. Like, that was huge for them, because we've seen a lot, their offense and pitching just haven't clicked, but in the last week or so, it feels like they've kind of been clicking a little bit more together, and that is encouraging because it's the end of the season and the playoffs are coming up here soon. So like, that's the main thing for this team, just get all the talent to click at the same time.
Yeah, that and get healthy, which, they more or less have. Then I think we'd be remiss without bringing up Max Muncy getting hit by a pitch in back-to-back games, both scary situations for different reasons. The first one on Saturday night, getting him in the forearm, obviously when something like that happens, I think your first concern is, oh, great, like, did he just, fracture something? And that certainly would have ended his season. And then, that was Friday. And then Saturday, gets hit in the head, which is, frightening to see for any player. Fortunately, Muncy was okay. I know he wasn't in the lineup today, but it was a planned day off, even though the Dodgers do trust him against left-handed pitching. I think they had already decided with Robbie Ray on the mound, which, by the way, can we get into the Robbie Ray's grunting? It was so annoying, like every single pitch, and it just felt like it was so exaggerated from him. I wish, Steven Nelson and Orel Hershiser joked about the field mics maybe turning them down at some point. I wish they would have just completely shut it off.
I mean, I think that's something we've always noticed from him, and I think it was Roki who was doing it too for a bit. Or like, yeah, I mean, or Greinke used to do it a lot too.
Greinke would. I felt like I don't know if Ray was doing like, and for maybe I was just having a bad day today, and I didn't feel like hearing him do that. But no, I mean, for some reason, honestly, because yes, it's nothing new per se, but for whatever reason, I thought that it was more exaggerated today. But anyway,
old man yells at pitcher to get off his mound.
Yes, that's me. I'm the old man today. Let's get to these super chats, and I apologize, we're a little bit slower in incorporating these. As a reminder, if you are on YouTube and you want us to answer a specific question or get to a certain topic, super chat is the way to go. We usually will stop the show kind of in the middle of what we're doing and make sure we throw it up on the screen and all that. We're a little bit slower today. I apologize. Robert says, I'm assuming this is in Europe because it looks like this was in euros. He says, this is why I stay up late to watch our boys play. So yeah, it was an early afternoon game for a lot of us, but I guess a late night for Robert. Robert, if you're still in here, let us know if you don't mind, if you want to disclose such information, where you're watching from. You could obviously keep it as general as you'd like. Bacon Tree says, some thought it was impossible, but Mookie is about to reach a 750 OPS again. Ohtani needs to cash in on runners in scoring position. Starting rotation is the real deal. Yeah, hey, look, I know we've discussed Mookie several times throughout this show. I know, Blake, you've expressed concerns with him, how you thought maybe he could get to this type of turnaround. All credit to Mookie for, basically he said it on an individual level. He gave up on his season. And if you go back and look at his stats, since he shared that mindset publicly, he has been on a significant upswing. And I know you've expressed this several times. You think that has significantly changed the Dodgers, I guess, ceiling, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of said with this team, like, it's going to go as the superstars go. That means Ohtani hitting, Betts hitting, Freeman hitting, and the rotation pitching well. And that's what's happening right now. And we see them winning right now. So, yeah, all the credit to Mookie for turning it around. It was about like 2 years of a struggle here dating back to last year. So, yeah, tons of credit to him. He's really figured things out. He's shown more power than even I thought he could get back to. So, yeah, like, it's been great. He's been a key piece of this team right now, and it's going to gives them a boosted outlook for the postseason, in my opinion, because they need him to hit well, and he has been hitting well.
Yeah, and I see Robert saying he's in Germany, but from North Hollywood. So, Robert, we appreciate you again tuning in, and thank you again for that super chat. The Ohtani aspect, yeah, I mean, it was a rough day for him. Ben Rortvedt, the legend that is Big Ben, turned the lineup over a couple times to extend the inning. Ohtani wasn't able to come through. He was hitless. He had 6 at-bats today just because the way the Dodgers were, going through their lineup. He was hitless until the 9th inning. He hit the single, and then actually I think he scored a run, which reminds me, we had an article ready that we should have published, so my apologies for that. That's a new franchise record. Let me double check if Ohtani, I'm pretty sure it was Ohtani who scored. Yeah,
he scored 135 today.
Yeah, so that's a new record for Ohtani. He set the record, LA franchise record, not Brooklyn overall. But yeah, so he did get on base. It happens. Bacon tree as far as the starting rotation. Yeah, I mean, it's Glass now for him to get into the 7th inning, which the way things were going today early on was certainly encouraging. He had, I think, 4 walks and a hit batter through the first 3 innings, I believe it was, and so he settled in. I mean, it still wasn't overly pretty, but he managed to get that done. Next super chat's from Blue Tree. It says, with all the discussion of head injuries in pro sports, why wasn't Muncy pulled from the game for safety precautions / concussion protocol? This is a fair point. He didn't come out of the game right away. He did come out, I think, and he stayed in the game. It was the top of the 8th or something, right? And then the bottom half.
He stayed in to run on the bases, and then he came out for Kike on defense.
So, if you're questioning why he was left in initially, that's certainly reasonable. A trainer did check on him. If there was any suspicion of a potential head injury or concussion, they would have pulled Muncy out. Now, if you want to question whether that short window of time is enough to fully diagnose, I think that's fair. But, the Dodgers did go about things, I think, the way a team normally would, with their trainers and whatnot. And then Muncy, as I said, wasn't in the lineup today. And he still wasn't reporting any concussion symptoms today. And he joked that he played football growing up, so he knows what that stuff kind of feels like.
I do think it was kind of funny. Dave Roberts on back-to-back days, Muncy got hit. He made him run the bases and then took him out the next half inning. Just take him out immediately, let him go get his ice or check on him a little bit more. Like, I don't know, a little weird there, I think.
A little bit. But, I mean, I not necessarily egregious. And I said, I think the biggest thing is that Muncy is still feeling well a day later. So hopefully he's going to be in the clear. Back-to-back says, does Scott tipping give you more confidence in him? I'm assuming that this is asking about tipping Scott, who is, can we disclose, like, works at a restaurant and won't say where? Because I don't know what else this question would be asking, right?
I mean, yeah, Tanner Scott this year, he said he might be tipping pitches, but I don't think that's actually the case because this has been going on all year for him. And if the Dodgers haven't realized he's tipping pitches yet, like, that's a much bigger issue with their whole pitching staff and their whole coaching staff and every player on the team, to be honest. Like, if he was tipping pitches, that's something I would have caught a long time ago.
Yeah,
I
I
think it
agree.
was more just like kind of Tanner Scott coping a little bit. Like, I have no clue why I'm not pitching well. Like, maybe it's tipping, but he said himself, I don't know why. His stuff's still good. Like, nothing has changed from last year to this year, really, that stands out is like, that's the reason he's not pitching well. Besides, he's giving up a lot more hard contact and homers. So, yeah, I think it's a little more coping than actually thinking he's tipping.
And I didn't mean to cut you off there, so I apologize. I do agree with you. I think I would hope that if he was tipping pitches throughout the season, and that's kind of the if that would be the reason behind his struggles, that it's something that the Dodgers would have picked up on at some point. As you mentioned, I'll also add Chase Utley was at the stadium the other day. I had a chance to briefly talk to him as he was passing through. I thought, when Tanner Scott brought this up, the joke, like, kind of not realistically, but part of me thought, hey, maybe that's why Utley was at the stadium. They called in the expert. So I don't remember what year specifically it was or what pitcher, but I know Utley has a reputation for kind of being able to spot that stuff and be helpful. But yeah, I mean, I don't. On one hand, if that is the reason Tanner Scott's been struggling, then great. Perhaps, as you mentioned, though, it's not like he's just hit a rough patch recently. It's kind of been season long, and so if this has gone undetected by Tanner Scott and the Dodgers pitching coaches and all the front office analysts and everybody they have, like, that would be a concerning in a different way.
Even like the teammates are watching for that stuff too. Like the guys on the bench just sitting there, like every player in that dugout's trying to find tipping from their own pitchers and the opposing pitchers. They have guys looking at it, video guys inside the front office and everything. Like, I just don't really buy it that it's gone on for this long.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's see. What's our next super chat here? Gabriel says, the stage is now set for the Phillies. A sweep would be great. If not, I'll be happy taking 2 out of 3. Go Dodgers. Yeah, I mean, look, at this point, we're going to get into kind of the Phillies coming up next and the standings and things like that. Dodgers are 4.5 games back of the Phillies, they did lose to the Phillies lost today. So Dodgers got a little bit of help there. I think if you want any shot at the Dodgers catching them for the number 2 seed, it has to be a sweep. Are you putting any stock, whether standings, whether you're factoring that in or not? Do you need to see the Dodgers win 2 out of 3, or is it kind of just, it is what it is at this point?
I don't think they're going to catch the Phillies, so I'm kind of like, it is what it is at this point. You just need to win the division. But I mean, if they did end up sweeping them, it makes it interesting at least. But yeah, I think the Phillies are just too good to overcome essentially 5 games in this short amount of time.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think at the very least, it should be a fun measuring stick, if you will, with these two teams going at it. Potential, let's see, I guess what the NLDS preview, perhaps. Another super chat. Laura, thank you for this, says, biggest takeaway is the Dodgers beat very good pitchers. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly encouraging. Laura, I'll poke a little bit of fun at this and say it's the pitchers with the ERAs that have a start with the 6 or a 7 are the ones that usually shut them down. The aces are who the Dodgers can typically hit, right?
Yeah, they've been like playing up and down to their opponents kind of all year, and it's been a very weird trend because when we were talking about it like 2 weeks ago, they were like 11-4 versus teams over 500, and what was it, 5-11 or something versus teams under 500. It was just a very weird trend where, like, that's where we started talking about, is it a focus thing? Is it mental? What is it? So, yeah, I mean, they need to beat the good teams in the postseason, so that's encouraging, but it's weird that they haven't beat the bad teams.
Yeah, I agree. And look, I mean, I will add that that's not their struggles against pitchers that aren't necessarily doing well, if you will. It extends beyond this season, which I know I don't have to tell Laura or any of the diehard fans who have watched us and watched the Dodgers for multiple years now. Phil says, at this point, Scott should only pitch in low leverage situations for the rest of the season. Hopefully he can bounce back next season. Blake, where do you stand on that potential approach?
Kind of agree, but I don't think Dave Roberts is going to do that. I think he's going to keep trusting him and putting him in the spots, whether that's the right thing. Maybe he'll get, like in the playoffs, the Kenley Jansen role where he comes in 1 or 2 save games, but they kind of go closer by committee more often. But for the rest of the regular season, I think it's kind of, he's going to try and get him back on track. I'm not optimistic he gets back on track. I know like relievers are volatile and he could easily bounce back next year, but I just don't see it this year. I've been waiting all year and it hasn't come through. So yeah, just kind of giving up at this point.
With Scott, let's assume he continues to have some uneven results where, maybe he looks good one night, then struggles, 2 or 3 days later. Do you see the Dodgers still sticking with him as, kind of their primary closer option in the playoffs? Or do you think that, like, Dave Roberts will give him, the 10 days left and the 2 weeks left in this season to figure it out? And then at that point, if whatever he's shown or not shown, then the Dodgers will adjust accordingly.
I think they'll adjust accordingly. Dave has shown, like, in the playoffs, he's a little more flexible with how he's managing guys, and he changes his approach in the playoffs. He goes more like we need to win this game, I'm going to manage aggressively, than he does in the regular season, where it's like, we have a long season here, we're focused on the playoffs, I'm going to give guys chances to turn things around and go from there. Like we saw in 2020 how he managed Kenley Jansen, who wasn't pitching well. Like he essentially lost his closer role, and Julio ended up pitching a lot of those like 7th through 9th innings there to get some saves. And yeah, it wasn't ever Kenley in the set role. And even last year, they kind of went closer by committee a lot. So I just don't think Dave's going to stick with one guy if it's not the best option.
Yeah. Blake, you're getting an apology here from Zenji, who says, gave you a hard time for saying earlier in the season that you shouldn't pay big for a closer. So he says his apologies.
I mean, I was on board with the Tanner Scott signing. It felt like kind of the final piece they needed. But yeah, after we're just seeing the volatility, I kind of strayed from my internal belief system there, and it has backfired. So yeah, I'm going back hard on the never pay relievers.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see if Andrew Friedman does the same thing, because now, he gave Kenley Jansen his big contract after, was it 2016 or 2017? I forget what season. And it panned out. It didn't end all that well. It got bumpy at the end. And now Tanner Scott is struggling out of the gate in his first season. And certainly, in Tanner Scott's case, look, I know what kind of year he's had. I know that it may not feel or seem likely, but fact of the matter is, if he turns it around in October and becomes a valuable option, whether it's closer, whether it's 7th inning, 8th inning, a lot will be forgiven. And the Dodgers will certainly, like, they're not going to look, they will feel like, okay, like, yes, the money was worth it type thing. And then hope that, the three more years ahead will help him get back on track.
Yeah, I'd also say it's pretty important, like, to remember that this first year isn't a guarantee that he's going to do this for the next 3 years either. Like, relievers are inconsistent at best usually, so he could have another great year next year after being terrible all this year, and that's just kind of how it goes with them.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our next topic. Again, thank you for all those super chats. If you guys are so inclined, if you have more of them and you're joining us on YouTube, go ahead and throw it in, and we will pause what we're doing and get to your question or topic. But for now, we're going to move on to the offense. We've touched on it a couple times here and referenced it. They scored back to they reached double digits back-to-back games now. Mentioned earlier, 6-1 in their last 10 games. You look at the lineup today: Teoscar Hernandez, 4 hits. He had 3 hits last night. Mookie Betts, 3 hits. Freddie Freeman, 3 hits. Michael Conforto off the bench, 3 hits, 3 RBIs as well, I believe.
He's at 200 this year now. For those batting average people, he made it.
Yeah, for people that have been watching his batting average, it did. Although I don't know, he had a final at bat. Did it drop back down to 200? Yeah, it got up to 201 after he got his 3rd hit.
I think it's right at 200. Okay,
so either way, he got up to at least 201 today, which is a high mark considering how things have been going. Blake, a lot was said about the Dodgers. We saw some signs of this during the Rockies series. The sort of pushback, if you will, was that it was the Rockies, and I get it. I would also then say, hey, that's the same Rockies team that the Dodgers only managed to split against when they were out at Coors Field. How are you feeling about the offense at this point?
This is the most optimistic I've been about them in quite some time, like at least 2 or 3 months. And for me, the reason is Mookie's hitting again. Teoscar looks like he's hitting, and you need those guys to hit. Like, Conforto is what he is, but even he's been fine-ish for the last few weeks or so. Will Smith hasn't even been in the lineup, so you get him back as another piece, and you can really start seeing how the offense is going to shape up. Tommy Edman coming back to help against left-handed pitching, I think, is going to be huge. Like, you see it kind of coming together, and even if they're not fully there yet, or you don't have the full confidence in them yet that they're like fully back on track, you can see the path forward for them right now. And I would say like even Ohtani hasn't been amazing recently. Like he's had some success here and there. Like he's still Ohtani. He's a really good player, but he hasn't been like Ohtani level that you expect from him. So like that's another piece you can kind of say, well, he's going to start doing that at some point here soon. And then along with Mookie hitting and Freddie hitting and Will Smith coming back and Teoscar hitting, like Muncy back, that's a really, really good top of the lineup there. So yeah, I'm optimistic. You even have some of the role players playing well. Like I mentioned, Edmund. Miguel Rojas has been really, really good for the last 2 months or so, 3 months. Like you can really see it coming together.
Yeah. Foxy was saying not to forget Freddie. I thought that I mentioned him when I was listing off the players' names, and he's definitely somebody that I do want to highlight because I'm pretty sure I did, but he had 3 hits today, 3 hits yesterday, 1 hit on Friday. So that's 7 hits over a 3-game span. It's tough to say, kind of like who's the most important or the biggest key to, kind of the Dodgers top half of the lineup, if you will. But I do feel like Freeman typically is the steady presence as maybe some of the other guys go through their lulls. And so to see him, to me, like potentially getting back on track, if that's what you want to call it, or, getting into a nice rhythm here, I think is going to be really key. And next to that, I would say is probably 1B is Teoscar Hernandez. Right-handed hitter, brings, some power to that side from that side of the offense with obviously Ohtani, Muncy, Freddie, all being left-handed hitters. And the Dodgers were, they re-signed him to the contract that they did because they were counting on a big season from him. So to see him really get going, I think would be key. Is there, and you mentioned, even somebody like Miguel Rojas type thing, like that's important as well. Are you at the point where you're convinced that, not to say that these guys are going to have 3 hits every single night, but that maybe they're going to avoid kind of the significant regression and pitfalls that we've seen throughout the year?
I think so. I think they have enough guys performing well in the lineup where you're not going to see those rough stretches and rough games that they've had. Like at those times when that was like the bottom of the barrel for this offense right now, they had a bunch of guys in the lineup who just weren't hitting at all. And now you maybe have one guy on a night that you can say that about, even if that might even be too many. Like I just pulled up Conforto's stats over the last 15 games. He's hitting 326 with a 396 on base and a 500 slug. We've seen Conforto go through stretches like that earlier in the season. So I'm not like going to say he's back and has completely figured it out or anything, but like that's probably the worst hitter in the lineup that most of us would say on a nightly basis. And he's playing well right now. So yeah, I don't think that they have any significant holes in their lineup at this moment. And even when guys start to come back, that's going to get even better. So I just don't really see how this offense is going to struggle on a consistent basis moving forward. There might be a night here or there where they score 1 run, 2 runs, have a lot of issues. That's baseball. It's going to happen. But for me, the more important thing is, are they going to bounce back in the next game and the games after that? And so far, they've been doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think some of that will be sort of the next test. And we alluded to the Phillies. Obviously, the Dodgers are coming back to start their final homestand of the season, and it begins with the 3-game series against the Phillies. As of now, I saw somebody asking about the Dodgers' magic number. It's down to 10 to clinch the NL West. So any combination of Dodgers wins, Padres losses that amounts to 10 will wrap up the division for the Dodgers. So they can do it as early as this week. Obviously, the easiest way to kind of get there is by controlling what you can, which for the Dodgers' sake would be you sweep the Phillies and then you play the Giants again. 4 games at home. Like, so the Dodgers have seven home games coming up starting Monday. Is it possible? Do you think that they can clinch the NL West before heading back out on the road, or do you think it's going to kick into next week?
I think it'll kick into next week. I think the funniest outcome would be them and the Padres both going 1-9 for the next 10 games, and that's how they clinch. But no, I think they'll probably win like 6 games or something, and the Padres will win, or Padres lose like 3 or something out of that, and then take it into that final week there.
So what you're predicting is another pool party out in Arizona.
Sure.
It's, if you're wondering about the division lead, it is 2.5 games still. Dodgers are ahead of the Padres. So that's kind of where that stuff stands as we head into this week. The other topic we need to discuss is Roki Sasaki's new injury, if you will. He has been on a rehab assignment with AAA Oklahoma City since about a month now, middle of August. He made, I believe it was 5 starts. Pitchers, if you're not aware, when you send a pitcher on a minor league rehab assignment, it can only last a maximum of 30 days. And at that point, you need to activate him, option him, like do something. Sasaki was reaching the end of that. I guess it might have been technically today, but it was coming up soon after he made his most recent start with the Comets. So a decision was going to need to be made. Something was going to have to happen. It turns out that although Sasaki's fastball velocity was up, he had an encouraging start. I think 8 strikeouts, which is season high, even if you factor in his time with the Dodgers. Dave Roberts said that Sasaki dealt with a little calf issue, I believe, in like the 3rd or 4th inning of his start. So it's a new injury. And so it allows the Dodgers to reset his clock. And Blake, I can see you grinning already. We need to handle this as it's been reported to us. Sasaki's deal, like it could be calf soreness. They didn't call it a strain. So, and Dave did say that it is a minor issue, but a new injury nonetheless. Is it safe to say then that we're probably not seeing Sasaki up with the Dodgers at this point?
Yeah, I don't think even before this setback he was going to come back. So I think it was a very convenient way of keeping him in the minor leagues for the rest of the season to keep working on things. Yeah, I don't know how much of that is actually a real injury versus them kind of phantom ILing it, but I think they probably would have activated him and optioned him when they had to make that decision either way if the new setback didn't come up. But by not activating him and optioning him, it allows them to keep him like technically on the major league roster. So I think there's benefits for both Roki to kind of have that phantom IL and the Dodgers to do that. So yeah, I mean, you can draw your own conclusions. I'm not saying that's what they're doing, but yeah,
I agree. The timing of it certainly was beneficial for both parties. I do wonder, is it just a matter of optics with, yes, okay, we're going to activate you, but then option you to Oklahoma City just to finish the season there. Like, I don't know. There could be, kind of behind the scenes stuff that we're just not privy to. Obviously, I think, Major League service time and things like that can be a factor. But yeah, I didn't anticipate Sasaki making an impact with the Dodgers this season anyway. I know that they have left that door open and they have continued to build him up as a starter. Well, also, Sasaki has voiced a willingness when we had a chance to hear from him. It was before his rehab assignment, so maybe like 6 weeks ago now at this point. It was his first time speaking since going on the injured list. Sasaki expressed a willingness to pitch out of the bullpen if that was going to be a role that the Dodgers needed once he was ready to return. The team did have a meeting with Sasaki late last week. Dave Roberts came away from that, and he relayed that same thought that his impression was that, yes, Sasaki will pitch out of the bullpen if that's what the Dodgers need, because the reality is, we had the super chat earlier, starting rotation, I mean, there's not room. And as it is, they're going to go into the playoffs needing to remove 1, if not 2 guys out of the rotation. So how are you going to add Sasaki to that group when also, the last the Dodgers saw of him at the major league level, he certainly wasn't performing to the caliber that we've seen from the rotation right now. And that is something that Dave Roberts also brought up recently, was when he was asked, I believe it was the final day of the homestand that they just had, what the Dodgers would need to see to be convinced that Sasaki is ready to be activated. It was before, news of his calf issue. And Dave Roberts did say, like, we or not be activated, but make an impact for the team and have a role heading into October. Dave Roberts did say they would need to see Sasaki have success with them back at the major league level, because there just hasn't been enough opportunities for him. So a little bit of a lost year. And obviously, it's not the way Sasaki envisioned his rookie season going, the Dodgers as well. I think the good news is he's still certainly plenty young. We've seen, there were some uneven performances down in Oklahoma City with his starts, but if he can build off this last one, sort of bounce back from whatever, kind of calf twinge, I'll call it, that he might have going on, and end this year on a high note, then that'll be certainly encouraging. Go into an off season where you can kind of focus on working out, maybe still rehabbing, whatever may potentially be going on. It'll be different than last year, right? Where he was posted and going through that stuff while also trying to work out and trying to get answers on his velocity and things like that. So, like I said, a little bit of Dave Roberts, he referred to it as a learning year for Sasaki. And I think that's a good way to look at it. Is there anything else you want to add on that, Blake, before we move on?
Tim did ask why not just option him? Is it a pride thing? There's probably a little bit of that in there. Like, you don't want to ruin the confidence. And if you just option him, then it becomes a whole media thing of like, why isn't he back? Kind of, I don't think they want to deal with that. But also, like, there's benefits to being on the major league roster versus a minor league roster during the season. The pay's better. There's more benefits. He's getting service time. So by keeping him on the injured list, he's still on the major league roster, and he doesn't have to go down and be on the minor league roster. So I think that's kind of why it's beneficial for both of them. Like, they say, you get to keep working and figuring things out stress-free, and you also get to stay on the major league roster. So maybe a little calf injury comes up kind of thing, and that's where they go from there. So yeah. And then there's also the super chat, so related to Roki.
Yeah, J.Y. Kim says there was a video of Roki playing catch just 2 days ago, so hopefully the team is just taking precautionary measures and it's not a major injury. Yes, I will. Dave Roberts did say from the very beginning, he called it a minor calf. I don't know if he said calf thing, calf issue. I know that it has not been referred to as like a calf strain, so it's not believed to be serious. So yeah, like we said, kind of, I think the summation of it is this: you don't want a player to be injured, and I'll put, if you're listening, I'm using air quotes for injured in this case, but it is sort of the best outcome for Sasaki and the Dodgers at this point for a lot of the reasons Blake and I just discussed, the optics of it and the way you answered our last question as well. And there's just not a role for him, frankly, and as much like he's like I just said, he's not going to start. And he's never really pitched out of the bullpen. And so as much as maybe the Dodgers could use some help there, like Emmett Sheehan is a more likely candidate to help the bullpen in October. Ben Kasparius presumably will come back up from Oklahoma City at some point. Brock Stewart, we will mention, he's about to start his rehab assignment this week, and he's somebody that the Dodgers are going to be counting on. So there just isn't, the way the Dodgers are constructed right now, what they saw from Sasaki, when he was active, just not a role for him. So this kind of makes the most sense.
He's on the 60-day, so they'd also need to DFA someone off the 40-man to activate him. Right. So even more.
Yeah. And they have a lot of catchers on their 40-man roster right now, but a couple of them still aren't healthy. So yeah, that's where that stands. Like I said, ultimately, sort of the best case, not best case scenario. The outcome that made the most sense for both parties was to be how the Dodgers have handled it. We have another super chat. This one is saying, it feels wrong Jeff isn't here to celebrate Conforto being back. Do you think his recent performance gets him in the lineup more or still a platoon? Jeff is officiating a wedding tonight, so that's why he can't be here. It would have been a big show for Jeff. Conforto off the bench, going 3 for 4. Ben Rortvedt, reached safely in his first 3 plate appearances today. So those are both of Jeff's guys there. Blake, do you see Conforto earning? I mean, he's probably staying in a platoon, right? That's what's working.
I think the funny thing here is I've been on the Conforto train longer than Jeff has. I just haven't been as vocal about it or trolly about it. So yeah, from the perspective of someone who has believed in Conforto the longest, I think he's locked in a platoon, and I don't think he's going to get in the lineup on a daily basis again, especially with Edman back. I think they're a good platoon combo because Edman doesn't hit right-handed pitching well. Conforto does swing left-handed. He hasn't hit right-handed pitching well either this year, but he hasn't really hit anyone to begin with. So I think you can kind of say that's a wash there. But Dave Roberts has already told us, Edman's going to see most of his time versus left-handed pitching, and Conforto's still going to be in there versus right-handers. So that's where I think they're going to go, a platoon with those guys. And that's also why they didn't move Teoscar to left field, because Conforto is going to be in left field against right-handed pitching, and Pages will be in center field. And then against left-handed pitching, Pages will slide to left field, and Edman will be in center field, so you don't have to slide Teoscar back and forth between the corners.
I want to follow up on some of that, and not I don't know if you've discussed it on the show. I know you've texted about it. do you threw out the possibility of, hey, like maybe the Dodgers should carry Rortvedt on their playoff roster as well, go with 3 catchers with rushing their left-handed bat instead of Conforto. Not to like have a knee-jerk reaction to what we've seen from Conforto recently, but has anything changed your mind in that regard? 1, and 2, is that something that you think the Dodgers would do at this point, especially seeing, Conforto sort of heating up, if you will?
I don't think it changes anything for me from that perspective. I think if Conforto is going to be starting, you don't really have a lefty bat off the bench that you trust a whole lot. Like Ha-Seong Kim is there, but he hasn't hit all that much in quite a while. He started out really hot and then fell off, and since he's come back, he hasn't hit much, and he's not a prototypical like bench bat you want coming off that can try and hit you a homer here or there. So yeah, I pitched the idea of carrying Rortvedt just so rushing can be your left-handed pinch hitter. I think it's an interesting concept because the Dodgers have the extra pitcher versatility with Ohtani. They can carry essentially a free pitcher on their roster, and especially in the shorter rounds like the wild card and DS where you're not going to need 14 pitchers on your team. It gives you more versatility there to use rushing and free them up how you want. So I think it's something they would consider and look into. I also think they're looking into pinch runner and defensive types. We saw Ruiz up for a while, and then Dean was up for a while. So I think they're definitely open to the idea of carrying an extra bench bat or 2 instead of an extra pitcher on their roster early in the playoffs. So yeah, I could see it happening. Will it? I'm more like 50-50 on it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think what's interesting too is, the Dodgers are going to be in a wild card series, barring the Phillies, completely collapsing and maybe the Dodgers sweeping them this week. And so we haven't seen that since 2021, when that was also different in its own right. We haven't seen it from the Dodgers standpoint, where they've had to play in a wild card scenario. In 2021, it was just the one single game elimination. So yeah, their roster for that series could and will look probably drastically different than if they advance to the NLDS, and then if they get to the NLCS and maybe World Series as well. Couple things here I wanted to see. Foxy Cinnamon is saying, according to Blake, Conforto is a great guy. I'll echo that. I will tell people, like Blake and I are in the clubhouse after games, before games. Conforto, whether he's mired in an 0-4 whatever stretch, or if he's hitting well, he is there and great with media and willing to answer any questions. And he also interacts with his teammates the same, whether he's at the highest of highs or lowest of lows. So it's not just Blake who has noticed that or trying to defend his guy.
Yeah, I also saw someone say I shouldn't be bragging about Conforto. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying from the sense of that it was roasting Jeff. It's his guy. I'm just saying I wasn't fully ever out on him like that. So not bragging about it or anything. I'm just saying there's trends that are encouraging for Conforto, and that's probably as far as I'm going to say with any of his numbers because he hasn't been good this year. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think I wasn't sure if he was going to have a roster spot. I think with different injuries that have still happened, and he's hit well recently, that he's I've accepted that he's going to be around. And so if he gets hits, great. If the Dodgers, I don't think the Dodgers should necessarily rely on Michael, as you've mentioned, the stars are going to be what lead this team to the World Series, or probably are going to be the reason why they don't get there. If they're hitting, then they can. If they're not, then they probably won't.
It also kind of became a joke here that Scott would talk about how he wants him DFA'd and needs to go, and I'd say, but yeah, he's a great guy, so you got to consider that aspect of it. So if you're ever in a chat with Scott doing his show, just make sure you let him know.
Yeah. And if you're new, if you haven't heard, Scott does his shows Monday through Friday here on the Dodger Blue 1958 YouTube channel at 10 a.m. Pacific. And he's pretty punctual with those. I'll see the notifications going out right 10 a.m. on the dot. He's ready. He's not running a minute behind or even a second behind. So yeah, join that chat. It's the same live show format as this one. And you can interact with Scott and let him know that you've heard Conforto is a great guy.
Slightly different format. A lot of times it's solo.
Okay. That's right. Yes. Good point. I meant from Yeah, I meant from a live perspective, the interaction with everybody. But yes. Nunya Business says, just saw a story saying Roberts made a statement that said Roki was open to pitching out of the bullpen. Yeah, we just discussed that. I don't want to completely rehash and regurgitate and sound like a broken record, but Sasaki himself said, during the middle of summer, that if once he was ready to come back, if a bullpen role is all that was available, then he would be open to it. The team met with Sasaki to discuss kind of the next steps since his rehab clock was ending. This happened late last week. Dave Roberts did say, he came away from that meeting with the impression that Sasaki would pitch out of bullpen. So it wasn't new news per se, but Dave Roberts bringing it up sort of put it back in the news cycle. And if you've been reading DodgerBlue.com all season long, you would have caught the first instance of Sasaki himself saying, yes, I will pitch out of the bullpen. All right. Let's get to some questions now. As a reminder, if you could just start it with the word question in all caps, that makes it easier for Blake and I to point them, to spot them, as you guys are also interacting with each other. And while those come in, we do have a few early ones. NS wants to know if Conforto's batting average is worth celebrating.
Tongue-in-cheek, celebrating it, yeah. I mean, it's been a rough year for him. Like, feel a little happy for him that he's having some success. Like, he's trying his hardest.
Yeah, I mean, I think NS, you're with us a lot. Like, it's become a little bit of a running joke. The Conforto sort of defiance is probably one way to put it. And obviously, Jeff has defended him and pointed out why there's reasons to still be optimistic, things like that. So that is also some of it when we discuss Conforto, as I even alluded to earlier. I said he's heating up type thing. Robert with another super chat says he cheered when Conforto pinch hit for Call. Yeah, I mean Dodgers are playing the matchups. Alex Call we've been asked several times, why isn't Call in the lineup? Mainly before Edman came back, and the Dodgers do view him as a platoon bat.
We get asked why isn't Call in the lineup, and then they put Call in the lineup, and we get asked why is Call in the lineup.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's see. We have a lot of good questions here that came in. Manuel, if you're here, make sure you get your food question in. I know you always are disappointed when we can't get to that stuff. So throw it in early so we could flag it, and then we'll be sure we get around to it. Let's see. What else do we have here? Kurt says, what's your honest opinion of the bullpen? Our, quote, closers look terrible. What can be done to fix that?
Jack Dreyer. I mean, I think it's very much closer by committee situation moving forward into the playoffs. They're going to go matchup based. You might see Edgardo get some saves. You might see Jack get some saves. Vesia is probably going to get some save chances. I think Tanner Scott will still get some here and there. Yeah, it's kind of who's just pitching the best at the time and who they feel comfortable with. Dave Roberts has already said it. They're kind of in an open audition right now to earn higher leverage roles and everything. So, yeah, I don't think there is an answer at this moment. It's just kind of like who's pitching well at the time.
Yeah, I agree. And I think some of it will be matchup based as well. I think if Blake Trinan, I mean, look, he has generally pitched well. Like no relief pitcher is going to be perfect. I think that needs to be a reality that's sort of accepted. It obviously hurts more when the team in general is kind of stuck in an up and down sort of, 2 steps forward, 1 step back type thing when Trinan does then blow a game. I could see him potentially, being kind of the de facto closer more times than not. And if they find, kind of another option to fill the fireman role as well. But yeah, we'll see. Daniel, says, who do you keep? He says Corvette. I don't know if this is a play on his last name, then it's funny. Corvette or Rushing, and of course he means Ben Workvet.
I'm still taking Rushing on the playoff roster just because what the role would potentially be. Like, Vet has been a great backup catcher. I like him. He's really good defensively. I think the bat we've seen has been a little more luck-based than, like, actual this is who he is type thing. So, yeah, I mean, if you need a guy off the bench to hit, I'm still leaning toward Rushing, even though it's been a bit of a struggle for him this year. It's just the talent is way higher there.
Yeah, and I think look, like the Rortvet's value has come behind the plate with how he's navigated games and pitch calling and all that stuff defensively. And I mean, I saw we have a question about Will Smith, so we'll get to that. Like the assumption is Will Smith is going to be available and playing every day. So we're not going to see a repeat of maybe 2020 where Will Smith becomes your DH sometimes and Austin Barnes is catching games, because obviously Shohei Ohtani is the DH at this point. So from a roster construction standpoint, I think Rortvet's value and ability to make a significant impact changes compared to what we're seeing now.
Is it a hot take to say if Will Smith is out for the playoffs or for a series or whatever, I'd rather have Rortvet as a starter, but if Will Smith is the starter, I'd rather have Rushing as the guy?
No, I mean I think that makes sense. Because I don't think it's a hot take by any means. I mean, I think that's probably that. I would argue that might be what we end up seeing if it was going to be the case. And let's get into it. Let me find the exact question for Will Smith here. It was from Laura. She wants to know how long or how will Will Smith be affected by the hand injury. I mean, it seemed to. I thought hitting. Do you remember what they said at first? That swinging a bat was okay.
I don't remember first, but when he was coming back after that, the first time he was scratched again after he came back on September 9th, I think it was, and then he was scratched on the 10th. They said it was the hitting that affected him, but he was 1 for 4 the day before, I believe. So, yeah, I mean, the hitting is the big concern. I mean, that's putting the impact on your hand more. Like holding a baseball is a lot different than hitting with your bat. You're getting the impact from the ball echoing through the bat, swelling up your hand a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to hurt the defense as much as the bat, if anything.
Yeah, I think honestly the bigger question is to expand on what Laura's asking is like how much is he going to be affected and impacted by it? Obviously, it seemed like he was scratched middle of last week because of some swelling in the hand, and that certainly changed. Like that will make throwing a baseball difficult. And it sort of seemed like it came out of the blue. I mean, look, the Dodgers sometimes handle injuries in an interesting manner, and obviously they have access to a bunch of information and things that we don't, and they evaluate different factors and whatnot. From the very beginning, I was surprised that Will Smith didn't end up on the injured list just from the nature of this injury. I didn't think that it would be something that he was going to recover from in a span of 2 or 3 days, and he ended up missing, that the rest of the Pirates series, the Orioles series, and then they even gave him an extra day off. They said he was going to be back for the Rocky series when the homestand began. They said no, we decided to just do one more, and that still didn't end up working. Kind of backfired. And Dave Roberts did say, had they, in hindsight, obviously it's 2020, and had they known that this would be the ultimate outcome, they would have just put Smith on the injured list to begin with. But now, here we are. They were able to backdate it a little bit, so he's eligible to come off as early as September 20th. So that'll be kind of the date to sort of keep an eye on. And then, hopefully this time off of, hey, just sort of shut it down a little bit, just get treatment for a few days, really resets things for him. Because, I mean, they need as well as Rortvet has done defensively. I think they are going to need Will Smith's bat in the postseason. All right, let's see what other questions here. Manuel, food question. We've been waiting for you, so throw it in, please. We got to this one from Tim. He was asking about Sasaki being optioned. Cordonez says, going into the playoffs, who are the teams in the NL that might give the Dodgers the biggest challenge?
The Phillies, the Brewers, and the Padres, I think, are the easy ones there.
I'll go with the Dodgers, the Phillies, and the Cubs.
I mean, the Dodgers, I still feel like they're the most talented team, and
yeah, I agree.
They're going to be the ones that beat themselves, kind of thing. But to answer the question a little more, yeah.
I was bringing balance to the show, Blake. In case you forget, that's my role here. Is I bring the balance.
But also, it could be any team. Like 2023, I think everyone thought they kind of had a walk through versus the Diamondbacks, and then they got swept. So it's the fun of the playoffs.
We were there for that, Blake. You remember?
Yep.
Lance Lynn's
History.
playoff history. Lucy wants to know, do you think the Dodgers will DFA Yates when everyone is back? So they will need a roster move for Brock Stewart. He is, if you missed it, we mentioned in our show earlier, he's expected to start a rehab assignment this week and then be back pretty quickly. He might only pitch in 1 or 2 games on his rehab. Do you see a Yates DFA at this point in the season?
I think they'll do the veteran respect route and put him on the Phantom IL so he can not get released and stay on the roster, get his money, be around, but not actually pitch. So I don't think he'll be on the postseason roster. I'd be shocked if he makes it through the regular season without some kind of injury that takes him off the team. But yeah, I don't think they're going to release him straight up because they have respect for him. And that's just how they act with their veterans usually.
Yeah, I agree with you. I though think that the more likely option, they might just send Enriquez down for the final, 8 days or whatever it'll end up being. And then once the postseason rolls around, they'll figure out what they do at that point.
Might depend on how the division race is looking, because you might not be able to mess around with that kind of stuff if it's close.
Well, perhaps, or they will, and just trust that they're good enough to win.
If they have like 2 or 3 right-handed relievers pitching well, then maybe. But yeah.
All right, let's see. What else do we have here? J.Y. Kim says, does the emergence of Rortvedt have an impact on players like Ha-Seong Kim? I've read some speculation about that. Blake, I don't want to make you fully repeat what you said, but you sort of suggested some of that.
I think Kim is kind of a roster lock to be either pinch runner and maybe a defensive sub if they need it. They've been looking for a pinch runner all year. Kim hasn't really run away with the starting spot, so I definitely think he's on the roster as a pinch runner. Rortvedt, I think they could carry him. I don't think it has any real correlation to Ha-Seong there, so yeah, but I'm pretty sure Kim's going to be on the roster just because he serves the role as their pinch runner.
Yeah. Another super chat. This one's from Jedi Engineer. It says, what do you think it'll take for Piazza to come back and be a part of the Dodger family again? I don't know. I mean, ownership has changed. It's I guess there might still, there are like long-term employees still involved in, some like PR type front office roles. So maybe that's a factor, but I don't know. I mean, you would think that maybe it would have changed at this point, but perhaps not. And since it hasn't, I genuinely don't know what it'll take if there's anything that can be done. Michael wants to know, what do you think of Teo in the 3-hole? So yeah, obviously, it worked out great today. It's something the Dodgers typically have done. I forgot when Dave Roberts started it, maybe just before the midway point of the season. So it's been a decent amount of time. Now, when the Dodgers face a lefty, if the lineup is healthy for the most part, they put Teoscar in the 3-hole. I mean, do you feel strongly any one way or the other on that?
No, not really. I don't think it matters all that much.
Yeah. The Dodgers do like to do their, left, right, left thing. Although I guess in this case, it goes the other way because they have back-to-back righties after Ohtani leads off and then Freeman is dropped down to the cleanup spot. All right, let's see what other questions we have here. I did see a food question. Manny, we'll get to that at the end. I also want to make sure, Manuel, again, you stick around for that. Don't miss it. GI says, if the postseason started today, do Yates, Kopech, and or Scott make your roster? So, Blake, this is your roster. This isn't necessarily asking if the Dodgers would be on, what the Dodgers might do.
If it was my roster, no, maybe Kopech. If the Dodgers roster, Scott's going to be on for sure. Kopech, I'm kind of a toss-up on that. And then Yates, definitely not. For me, probably not. I'm probably going with Kyle Hurt and Edgardo as my final 2 guys on. Because I did list this out a bit ago, 4 days ago now. So I have the bullpen with Sheehan, Wroblewski, Trinan, Stewart, Scott, Vesia, Dreyer, Bonda, and then it's pick 2 of Edgardo, Kasparius, Kopech, Yates, Hurt, and Kershaw. So if it was mine, I'd take off Scott and I'd carry Kasparius, Edgardo, and Hurt. The Dodgers aren't taking off Scott, so Yeah, Kopech kind of a toss up there for me, and then I think Edgardo's the favorite for the final spot right now.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, I'd have to think through like my specific bullpen, but I do think from the Dodgers standpoint, I think Kopech and Scott are basically locks for it. Yates is the one that's on a little bit of shaky ground there. Corternez says, best starting rotation going into the playoff. Is this the best starting rotation the Dodgers have had going in playoffs since Kershaw, Greinke, and Ryu?
I think for sure. Might be better even. I think the depth is better here, but the top with Kershaw and Greinke in their primes probably better. But I mean, Yamamoto, Snow, Glasnow, Ohtani, really, really tough to beat that.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Laura's saying that DodgerHeads Unplugged with Scott is a solo show because Blake doesn't want to get up too early.
I am up every morning producing his show and uploading it to podcast and everything, so that is not the reason. It was more because if me or Matt are doing other things like game coverage, running the website things, like just makes more sense than finding someone to come on the show every day. So yeah.
The real reason is Blake and Scott have some serious beef between them. They don't actually like each other. They get into arguments every day. So that's why Blake will never go on Scott's show again. He did once. Scott tricked him into it. Never again, Blake says.
It's true.
NS wants to know, Blake, would you rather see Ohtani come out of the bullpen or stay a starter in the postseason?
Starter. And for the logistic reasons of it, I don't think it really works out or makes sense. Like, what if you need him in the 9th inning and then he's on the bases and he can't warm up, or he's about to hit and can't go warm up? Like, just there's too many variables into it. You can't have him go back-to-back days. It would probably be, if he's pitching out of the bullpen, it would be once a week type thing still. I just don't really see that working out for them.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we have a few more and then one food one. So if you guys have any final baseball questions, any food questions, go ahead and throw them in and we'll get to them. Blade says, Blake Snell and Tanner Scott have beef confirmed. Yeah, maybe. I guess this is a Dodgers show. We do need to be careful with use full names when we're discussing our staff.
Could be Blake Trinan too, both in the bullpen, always around each other.
That's true. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? TN says, why Doctor sends
Dave Roberts sends Scott after Yamamoto every time.
Oh, yeah. My apologies for not deciphering that. Blake, thank you for being young and decoding it. I mean, they trust Tanner Scott. Like they trust Tanner Scott. They look at bullpen usage, stuff like that, and he's available. Some of it, I think, when he has stumbled, it's wanting to get Tanner Scott another opportunity, and it is just sort of lined up with Yamamoto's games a little bit. I mean, I don't know, Blake, do you have any other, expansive thoughts on that?
I mean, he's come in for other pitchers too. It's not just like a Yamamoto thing. It's just kind of worked out that way for the last few times, and it's been unfortunate because we wouldn't be talking about it if Tanner Scott did his job. So, yeah.
Well, and in fairness, the Tanner Scott appearance in Baltimore happened because Blake Trinan couldn't get the final out. Like there was Blake Trinan before Scott gave up that walk-off hit. So I mean, that's also a little bit of a fact. Like if Trinan gets, he faced 4 batters, I think it was 4 or 5 batters. What?
Yeah.
So if he gets the one out before then at least that's one instance where it doesn't feel like Tanner Scott is blowing quote unquote every Yoshinobu Yamamoto start.
And if the offense scored more than 1 run.
Yes, that as well. All right. I'm seeing some good food questions, which Manuel is happy about. He's saying, good job, everybody. Keep asking them food questions. So we'll get to those at the end. We still do have some baseball ones that we are circling through. So just be patient with us. Kevin says, how open is the Dodgers championship window?
Pretty open. I think they can win right now. They can win next year, and they can win the year after that. And we'll see moving on from there. I think a 3-year window is fair, considering they've already had 2 in the last 5 years. And yeah, I mean, I have confidence they're going to keep it open longer than that, but I'm not confident predicting the future that much out.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's safe to say this season plus 2 more is reasonable. Not from a guaranteeing a World Series by any means, but certainly in contention, being a World Series contender through that would be 2027, and then we'd have to kind of see what the roster looks like at that point.
Does Freeman's contract end the year before that?
I always forget if he has doesn't he have 2 more beyond this year?
He is signed through 2027. So 2028, that's when the window is not open at this point.
Yeah, as of now. Ask us again later. Cole wants to know if we get tired of answering the same questions every night. Not at all. I feel bad sometimes if questions are repeated and maybe somebody is getting kind of a shortened answer if we had perhaps expanded on it earlier in the show, but that's why you'll hear me say, hey, rewind it a little bit and you'll be able to get kind of a fuller answer there. But people are sort of in and out. Things happen. They don't always, not everybody. I know a lot of you guys do stick with us for the full duration of our shows. We appreciate that. Some people join later. So no, we try to answer as many baseball questions as we can. And then, as you guys know, we leave the food stuff at the end. I know Manuel wants us to sort of flip it, but Manuel, we are a baseball show, so we need to make sure we focus on the Dodgers first. I think that honestly might be it. We have a couple here actually from Laura. She wants to know, is the noise around Kyle Tucker and the Dodgers fact or fiction, and who has reported it? I know John Heyman is one source who's connected the Dodgers and Kyle Tucker. I think Bob Nightingale has at some point as well.
And our own Scotty G.
Yeah. Blake, I mean, how much of do you make out of the smoke between these two?
The Dodgers are going to be connected to every single superstar that ever hits the free agent market until Friedman and Mark Walter are no longer running the team. So I definitely believe that they're going to be involved in talking. Whether they actually are going to make a serious push or not is a different story. I'm not fully buying that yet. I think it'll be their kind of thing like with Bryce Harper, where they're just talking, seeing, maybe offer like a 4-year crazy AAV deal and see if he takes it. But I think there's going to be a lot of teams wanting Kyle Tucker, and the Dodgers are more just doing their due diligence.
All right, let's see. I'm trying to find DM24 says, how long until the Dodgers inject some youth like DePaula, Hope, and Ferris?
Most of them are pretty young, so I'd say like 2028 or 2027 probably is around when they're going to be full impact kind of guys, and you might see them a little bit 2027 and 2026.
Yeah. Cole is saying, wait until Jim Bowden says the Dodgers are not in the running, then you'll know they will be for Kyle Tucker. Kind of funny. Look, everybody gets stuff wrong at some point. I haven't seen Bob Nightingale in our chat actually recently. He was a early visitor through about the first 2 months of the season. Then I feel like maybe he's gotten a little bit busy. Actually, it would make sense from the standpoint of the Dodgers sort of started to struggle, and he started covering other teams more regularly rather than coming in and joining us. We'll have to ask him about it next time we see him at the stadium. All right, let's see what else we have. Robert wants to know, how long does Freeman stay with the Dodgers past 2027? I mean, I don't necessarily, I would be shocked. Not shocked. I'd be a little surprised if he's re-signed, short of like saying, sure, I'll take another 1-year deal. And if it makes sense, but at that point, I think another thing to keep in mind is Dalton Rushing's role. If he still is around with the team, like they could be looking at it as first base is where he ultimately lands, with Will Smith presumably, entrenched at the catcher position still. But do you see Freeman staying beyond his current deal?
I think they could do like 1 or 2 year deals until he's ready to retire. I don't think Freddie's going to want to play anywhere else, so he'd probably take like a hometown type discount thing to stay around. And if the Dodgers need a first baseman, which if Freddie's gone, they will, I think it would probably make sense just to keep him.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we have here.
Unless he wants to go DH for the Braves.
I mean, I do think like that might be where he ends his career. But I guess Atlanta would have to be open to that. They weren't when he was at the peak, and I don't know if they'd want him there at the end. It might just be a one-day contract.
I don't think he'd want to move his family for like a year or two, though, kind
That's
of
true.
thing at this point of his life.
That's a good point. Hernandez wants to know if we have any thoughts on all the anime collaborations the Dodgers did this year. Adds that he's been thrilled, or she. So I apologize if I got that wrong.
I mean, I think they've been huge. A lot of fans clearly enjoy them because they're sold out every single game, and the stuff sells online like crazy, and everyone wants it. It's not like my favorite thing. I don't know about One Piece, or I think it was Demon Slayer, Demon Hunter, something like that for their other one. So yeah, I mean, not for me, but I'm happy that all the fans are enjoying it.
Yeah, same here. I know if any of you watch our Lakers Nation shows and read LakersNation.com, you know Matt Peralta's. Yeah, Blake, I think you are frozen. I did still hear you. Oh, there you go. You're back now. Matt Peralta was excited with all the anime collaborations. Blake, can you still hear me? I'm not sure if Blake is with us. So here, let's take him off here. Give me a second to get this fixed. I apologize, everybody. Blake, if you can come back at some point, then great. If not, then I can close this out. Let's see what other questions we still have.
Am I good?
Yes.
It just like froze, and I couldn't tell if it was me or you or what was happening. So yeah.
You froze for us a little bit. I could hear you the entire time. I wasn't sure if you could hear me, so that's why we temporarily removed you, but you've been added back. Yeah, Blade is saying Matt the Optimist Peralta. Yes, Blade, you are a Lakers Nation listener. All right, let's close out with these questions. Manuel's been patiently waiting for us to get to all the food stuff. Let's see. The first one we have. Oh, actually, no. One more baseball one. So sorry, Manuel. Be patient. Laura wants to know Phillies series predictions for the Phillies.
2 of 3, fairly safe. I'm not saying a team. I'm just saying one of them's winning 2 of 3.
You took my answer, Blake. I was going to say I think one of the teams will win 2 of 3. So that's why you guys come here for the hard-hitting analysis like that. Laura's saying it's Dodgers take 2. Eden, I think, is saying Dodgers take 2 as well. Zenji says sweep. I think the Phillies might take 2 out of 3. Some of it is, I know the Dodgers have been playing better of late, but sometimes there's things happen. It's baseball.
I'll take the Dodgers then to bring balance.
There we go.
Dodgers take 2 out of 3.
Blake is bringing balance, and I'll say Phillies 2 out of 3, and he says Dodgers 2 out of 3. So we'll see how that goes. All right, Manuel, this is the time you've been waiting for. Not Manuel, but Manny says, "What's for dinner?"
Chicken tacos.
Sounds good. My wife is making an orzo dish right now with some sort of, I think, beef mixed into it. I wasn't 100% sure. It sounds good. And so that's what I will be having. Hernandez wants to know, what are our thoughts on barbecue pizza?
Not as good as normal pizza, but still good.
I agree. I'm not really a big fan of barbecue pizza. I kind of just prefer regular pizza, if you will. Foxy,
have you done one with Alfredo sauce on it instead of marinara?
I have done a white pizza somewhere. It's not jumping out at me. I don't remember like loving it or hating it, or honestly where I even had it. But yeah, I have. But I mean, for the most part, I typically, like, if I'm getting pizza, I'll pretty much just stick with like a pepperoni or a cheese type thing. Foxy wants to know mashed potatoes versus macaroni and cheese. I like both from Pollo Loco. No one I know likes the mashed potatoes. So I guess this is asking specifically Pollo Loco's mashed potatoes versus their macaroni and cheese.
I would probably have them at like the same area. Like, I don't think either one's special or bad or anything. They're just both fine.
I think their mashed potatoes are better than their macaroni and cheese. But I agree with you. Both, like, I wouldn't say, no to either one. We had another one from Hernandez, and we just have a couple left. So we'll be ending the stream unless you guys want to throw in some last-minute questions. We can extend this, but otherwise we will finish with these last two. Best place to eat ice cream. What do you guys get? I feel like we've answered this in different forms, and my answer is going to remain the same.
I think the last time I was on, it was asked about this. I said Cold Stone is my favorite. I've enjoyed Handles when I had it once, but what I get kind of mixes. I like from Baskin Robbins the peanut butter chocolate. From Cold Stones, I get the birthday cake batter one, and from Handles, I got some kind of like banana caramel one that was really good. So
yeah, I'm if I want ice cream, I'm going to Baskin Robbins, and I'm getting Jamaica almond fudge, which I know you guys have heard me say several times now. Baseball question. Go ahead.
Ice cream from the Ghirardelli shop, really great. Ghirardelli chocolate on it. They have one at Disneyland, DCA for Matt.
Blake, not all of us are Disneyland experts here. Okay, we need to leave the. Oh, hey, Mickey Mouse is coming to Dodger Stadium. A little bit of an odd promo there, considering the not the reputation, but kind of the narrative around the Dodgers. And not that the team believes it, but I just thought that it was kind of funny. And it got kind of the expected reaction that I figured it would when we shared it. I did go to Ghirardelli's once, actually, in the few years that I've had a pass. I thought it was all right. Let's see. We had a baseball. Eden wants to know, I assume it's baseball. Maybe, yeah. Can you name all the teams that wear pinstripes? Are we counting like secondary unit, like Yankees?
Probably.
And then
White Sox.
Yes.
I think, didn't the Marlins, their City Connects have pinstripes, I think, on them. The Mets have had pinstripes. I don't know if they're still in circulation with them. They might have changed them.
Haven't the Rockies had pinstripes?
The Rockies. I think, yeah, the Phillies. The Marlins used to. I don't know if they have any throwbacks with them.
Yeah, Matty
Padres.
Padres.
I
have to look at the list of teams to make sure, like, as we're
think the
crossing them
Twins.
off.
Do the Twins? They used to.
I think. Oh, well, here. Eden has given us the answer already. We got most of them. Padres, Brewers, Phillies, Rockies, Mets, Yankees, White Sox. So we didn't get the Mets, which that's an odd.
I said the Mets.
Oh, we did get the Mets. Okay. Oh,
We
maybe that's not the full
Brewers.
list. She's asking
Brewers
if she's missing any. So maybe there's more. Yeah, we're getting somebody saying the Cubs. NS is asking about Teoscar wearing orange cleats and an orange arm sleeve as well against the Giants. I mean, the only thing I didn't care. Like, I noticed that it was orange. I didn't think, oh man, he's wearing the Giants color. I noticed it from the standpoint of over like the past now handful of games, he had purple on during the homestand and then like a bright green, I think, in one of the Giants games.
Yeah.
So
Kike wears the different colors all the time. I know, like, Marcelo Zuna always wears the bright yellow, and I think Acuna does too with the Braves, which doesn't really fit their colors. So I think it's fun. Like, players wear what they want.
Yeah, no real strong feelings here towards that. G-Rob wants to know, does Sheehan get knocked off the starting rotation in the last week of the season to prepare for the playoffs?
They kind of already started it. That was the plan, I think. And then they had to push Glasnow back, and Shohei got moved up and then pushed back because of his illness. So, yeah, probably.
Yeah, that was the plan. Dave Roberts did say that they were going to do that this month. And then, yes, as Blake mentioned, things sort of changed there because of sickness and things and injuries, I guess, if you will. Maddie Man wants to know, we're going to get a Keetober this year because it doesn't feel like it.
I mean, I'm going to say no. I know you're going to say yes.
I think that there will be fewer Keetober moments that show up, whereas in the past you were getting them pretty consistently. I'm not sure how frequent they'll be this year. And I think some of it is, it sounds like his elbow is I know he's playing and he's back, but it doesn't necessarily sound like it's in very good shape. So I think that that's going to be a factor.
Did you see the Phillies called up Bueller? Is he going to pitch against the Dodgers in the postseason?
I mean, the Dodgers better hope not, because otherwise they're going to be in trouble. We all know what Walker Buehler can do in the playoffs, Blake. For some reason, you keep missing that memo. So everybody needs to remind Blake what what Buehler does in October. Thomas wants to know, does Edman get to play every day at some point in the future? Last time we saw a resurgence. Last time we saw a resurgence from Conforto was at the deadline and fooled everyone, which led to not addressing the outfield.
I think Conforto would have to fall back into a terrible slump, and Edman will have to show like he's going to hit versus right-handed pitching for that to happen. So probably need two things to happen there.
Yeah, and I think that they still, as much as Edman's ankle, he took time to really, recover and let it heal. I think there's still a little bit of hesitation there with him. All right, let's see, what else do we have? Alex wants to know, what do you want the Dodgers to add to the Dodger Stadium menu for next year?
Good food, because they don't have much.
Yeah, there could be a nice little boost. I think would be beneficial there to what they have.
What if they brought back Panda and let you do the deal there if they won the day before? Like, that'd be great. They won't
that line,
charge it, but
Stan Kasten, I think he spoke with was it Bill Shaken earlier this year, or somebody from the LA Times, and kind of asked about food, the price of food at the concession stands, because you see a lot of other teams, doing $3 hot dogs or whatever the case is, and he said they wouldn't be able to do that because the lines would be too long. I think that if Panda Express would run out of food if they added it to the stadium and let you get the deal.
I'm sure that's the only reason the lines would be too long.
Yes, I think so. I think so too. Cordenez been on fire tonight asking questions. Are you ready for the ABS system? Because I am for sure.
I'm ready for full-time robot umps 100% of the time. Get every call right. No more human element. Umpires are too bad.
I think ABS will be a beneficial thing. Umpiring this season, and we saw it. It's just been subpar. And I am somebody, you guys know, I've expressed. I think that there's it's nice to have the human element still and not fully remove it. But I mean, the umpires it's been difficult to really continue to defend them this season. Let's see.
Can we get Scott out of here for promoting his show on our show right now? Like trying to steal our viewers?
Stealing viewers. We're gonna have to end this show and have a meeting with Scott. Scott, we're sending you a meeting link after we hang up here. Very serious discussion is upcoming. We can't be having that. All right. Last question, unless we get something that trickles in while Blake is answering this. NS wants to know, what's your favorite fried chicken?
Are there different kind? Like,
I'm assuming maybe asking like KFC or a restaurant. Okay. That would be my guess. NS, if you have clarification, if you're still in here, throw it in the chat. But that's how I am interpreting this.
I don't eat a ton of like straight up fried chicken. So I don't really know.
The chicken.
There's a place
from IHOP, maybe.
When I went to Arizona last time, I think it was when I went with Sebastian, we went to a chicken and waffle place out there, and I got a red velvet waffle with it, and that place was really good, but I think it closed. I don't even remember the name of it. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Blake, the chicken expert is letting this question was put on tee for you.
What would you answer?
I'm not the chicken guy. I would.
That's fine.
NS did not ask me. It was asked to Blake specifically.
Someone give me a list of like fried chicken places, and maybe there's one. But
I mean, here, like off the top of my, there's KFC. There's Popeyes.
I'll go Popeyes then.
Churches, I think, does fried chicken.
I don't think I've had Churches.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, there are other places, but Raising Cane's.
Is Cane's fried chicken like that's chicken tenders? I don't know if that's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that's close. And I don't think Cordenez is saying Chick-fil-A. I don't think that's not fried chicken.
And if I bring up my actual answer, everyone's gonna make fun of it and troll, and I don't feel like doing that.
Well, Blake, I'm not going to end the stream now until you bring up your actual answer, because on this show we stand by things we say.
Fried chicken at Disneyland. Really good.
Oh.
Just saying. Flo's Cafe and California Adventure and Plaza Inn in Maine Disneyland. They have very good fried chicken.
Okay.
That's like the only place I could actually think of.
That wasn't as bad. Cole is saying don't sleep on Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich. I agree. Their spicy chicken nuggets are also very good, but not fried chicken in my opinion. So, yeah. All right. NS, yes, has never had the Disney chicken. Now you know, NS, if you have a lifetime pass the way Mr. Blake Williams over here does, go pop in and get yourself some fried chicken while you're there.
See, let's go. Got some confirmation here.
There you go. All right. I think that's going to do it for tonight. A big thank you to everybody for joining us. I know Sundays we've mentioned, are a little bit tricky now with you guys wanting to watch football. We felt like there was a window here with the Dodgers ending and football, the early afternoon games ending. And I know that Sunday night was on, but we looked at the schedule. It was it Vikings and Falcons? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is anybody... I'm confused as to why people are I told you, watching football on Sundays. Anyway, to me, the big football day is Saturday. So as far as I'm concerned, our schedule should be completely clear today. But I know it doesn't always happen that way. Manny is saying DodgerHeads is better than football. Manny, we appreciate that. I know you're with us all the time, regardless of the day. So thank you for joining us tonight. A big thank you to everybody, as I was saying, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. If you haven't joined us yet on YouTube, come check out our channel, Dodger Blue 1958. Subscribe, ring the notification bell. We are trying to get to 100,000. We crossed 90,000. So big thank you for helping us get there. Once we get to 100, we're planning a big giveaway, maybe 2. We'll see as we reach that milestone. As a reminder, keep coming to DodgerBlue.com. We have a ton of new content that we publish daily. Blake, myself, Matt Borelli, Sebastian, Daniel sometimes. So we have a big rotating staff there that writes for us. Let's see, what else am I? And of course, we have our app that I mentioned. The link is in, if you're listening on podcast, the link is in the description. If you're on YouTube, it's also in the description for this video. And as a reminder, Scott is doing his DodgerHeads Unplugged show. I know a lot of you guys are in it Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. anyway, but if you are new and you haven't heard of it, haven't had a chance to join them, be sure and do that. Yeah, I think that's it. Quick programming note. Jeff also, unfortunately, won't be available Tuesday. I will be at the stadium, so Blake and Anthony is our plan for Tuesday night postgame show after the Phillies. Blake predicted 2 wins for the Dodgers in that series, so maybe it'll be a win, maybe it'll be a loss. Either way, we will be here for you guys doing a live postgame show reacting to that. So again, a big thank you for Blake, Matthew, and we will see you guys next time.